Okay, let's dive into this explainer. If you've ever experienced a winter in Delhi, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's beautiful, sure, but it gets incredibly intense. The biting cold settles in, and with it comes that infamous fog. It's like this thick, heavy blanket that just swallows the city whole. But what happens when that fog brings something else along with it? Something ancient, inexplicable, and, honestly, utterly terrifying. Today we're breaking down a chilling story that takes a completely normal road trip and spirals it into an absolute nightmare.
I want you to literally put yourself in this situation for a second. Imagine you're sitting in a cramped, claustrophobic car, and you're surrounded by this totally impenetrable wall of white. You can't see the road, you can't see the trees, all you can see is the fog physically pressing up against the glass. And then, from the front seat, your driver turns around. His face is completely drained of color, and he delivers this desperate warning. I beg you, while passing through the fog, never make the mistake of opening the car window. Right? It sets an incredibly tense mood right out of the gate. So let's look at exactly how we got to this terrifying moment. Part 1. The casual trip turns dark. The setup for our story is something so many of us can probably relate to. Three friends, Yavin, Ravi, and Ria, are just completely exhausted by the rising pollution and the suffocating hustle of Delhi. They desperately need an escape. Just a breather, you know? So they hire a cab for a quick getaway up to the mountains of Himachal. And when their driver arrives, he's exactly what you'd want for a long road trip. He's cheerful, smiling, instantly friendly. Everything feels absolutely perfect. Let's move to the timeline and see how this builds. They leave Delhi bright and early at 4 a.m. For those first 4 hours, the vibes are great. The conversation is flowing perfectly. But right around 8 a.m., the atmosphere just drastically shifts. Even though the sun should definitely be coming up by now, the sky stays completely dark. And suddenly they hit it, a literal wall of dense, blinding fog. Yavin notices something really alarming right away. The driver who was literally laughing and joking just minutes ago is now deadly serious. All the color has just vanished from his face. When Yavin tells him to just take it slow, not to worry, that's when the driver gives him that chilling warning about keeping the windows shut tight. The driver explains that in this specific area, fog is incredibly rare. And when it does appear like this, it isn't just weather. It brings with it a chalawa. Now, a chalawa is local lore. It's a supernatural illusion, a deadly deceit, or a phantom mirage that's specifically meant to trick the human mind. Now, put yourself in the shoes of these three city-dwelling friends. They hear this, and they actually laugh. I mean, they dismiss it completely as just silly rural superstition and folklore. They don't believe a single word of it. And their car plunges deeper into the white void. Part 2. The Broken Rule. As the car creeps slowly through this endless, oppressive fog, they can't see a single thing outside. That feeling of total isolation really starts to creep in. And the physical environment inside the car begins to change. The air grows heavy. And for Ria, who's sitting in the back, the psychological pressure suddenly manifests into something very physical. And this brings us to a horrifying dilemma. Ria suddenly feels an overwhelming sense of restlessness. She literally can't breathe. The air in her lungs feels totally depleted, like she's actively suffocating. So, what do you do in that situation? Do you just sit there and let yourself pass out? Or do you break the one cardinal rule the terrified driver just gave you? Desperate for even a gasp of air, Ria completely forgets the warning. She rolls down the window and sticks her head out, just slightly, to catch her breath. She gets her breath of air, sure, but the fog also gets exactly what it wants. It pours straight into the car. And in a fraction of a second, the entire reality of the situation fractures. When Ria pulls her head back in, her heart essentially stops. She is suddenly, inexplicably, entirely alone. Yavin is gone, Ravi is gone, even the driver is gone. The car is still moving down the road all by itself, but she is completely trapped inside an empty, moving metal box. She frantically tries to open the doors, but they're completely jammed shut. The panic is absolute. Part 3. Reality versus illusion. And this brilliantly illustrates the terrifying mechanics of the chalawa. The folklore warned of a deadly deceit, right? Well, we are about to see exactly how that deceit splits reality into two entirely different, horrifying directions. Now, what's really interesting about this breakdown is how we can see these dual timelines happening simultaneously. On one side, we have what Ria is experiencing in her head. The car eventually stops, the doors finally unlock, and she runs out into the dense fog, screaming for help. She sees this towering 12-foot-tall dark shadow. She actually tries to run toward it for help, but it never seems to get any closer. Then she feels this horrific presence right behind her, turns around to see the massive shadow looming right there, and gets violently pushed to the ground. But look at the actual physical reality happening inside the cabin. Rhea never even left the car. The exact moment she opened that window, she fainted dead away. The boys and the driver are still right there, in a total panic, trying desperately to wake her up.
Inside the real car, the chaos is rapidly escalating. The driver is utterly traumatized, just repeating over and over, "You shouldn't have opened the window." But Yavin, acting like any logical person from the city would, assumes this is a severe medical emergency. He's absolutely furious at the driver for spouting this superstitious nonsense while his friend is lying there unconscious. Anger and panic completely override his logic here. He makes a fatal decision and orders the driver to just hit the gas and speed blindly through the dense fog to find a hospital.
Part 4. The Climax. A Descent into Madness. This is the exact moment that Chalawa stops targeting just Rhea and sets its sights directly on Yavin. The car is now rocketing blindly through zero visibility fog. The tension is at its absolute breaking point, and reality is about to shatter for the second time.
The events that follow happen in a rapid, dizzying succession of pure terror. The driver, being pressured by Yavin, is speeding. Suddenly, a figure appears out of nowhere in the fog. Boom. The car slams into a girl on the road. They screech to a halt. Yavin jumps out, runs over to the bleeding girl lying on the pavement, and turns her over. And his blood just runs completely cold. It's Rhea. But how? Rhea was literally just unconscious in the back seat. Yavin sprints back to his car in a total panic and looks inside. The car is totally empty. No driver, no Ravi, no Rhea. The Chalawa has him now. Terrified beyond all reason, Yavin grabs Rhea's bleeding body from the road, throws her into the empty car, jumps into the driver's seat, and floors the accelerator himself. He's driving like an absolute maniac, completely lost in the white void, entirely consumed by the illusion. And then, the climax hits. Standing directly in the path of the speeding car is the exact same entity from Rhea's hallucination. A massive, 12-foot-tall black shadow. Yavin panics, completely loses control of the steering wheel, veers violently off the road, and the car violently smashes right into a tree. Part 5. The morning after. The horrific noise of the crash echoes through the fog, and then, just absolute silence. Hours pass. The dark, terrifying night finally gives way to a cold, totally still morning. When the authorities finally find the wrecked car smashed against the tree, the fog has entirely lifted. So the crucial point is the aftermath of all this. Physically, miraculously, all 4 of them are actually found alive inside that wrecked car. But the thing is, the Chalawa didn't want their lives. It wanted their minds. The driver and Ravi are left deeply, deeply traumatized by the unexplainable events. Yavin suffered severe head trauma from the crash, and because of the horrific illusions he experienced, his mental stability is just completely gone. And Rhea, she is in a state of deep, permanent shock. To this day, no matter where she goes, she constantly sees that 12-foot dark shadow lurking right in the corners of her vision. It's just a devastating breakdown of logic and sanity, all triggered by simply dismissing a local warning. The Chalawa use their own fears and their own logic right against them. This explainer really highlights how sometimes local folklore holds a heavy weight that we just simply can't explain away with modern rationale. So I'm going to leave you with this thought to consider. The next time you find yourself driving down a dark, isolated road and a thick, unnatural winter fog rolls in to swallow your car, will you dare to open your window?